where you are. Oh, you hear that? That's a drum corps starting to practice the big Barnum Festival Parade. Barnum Festival 4th of July Parade. It's all named after P.T. Barnum, the greatest showman that ever lived. Where we are right now is the boulevard. This is Lincoln Boulevard. If you get a perspective of this, you'll see what an excellent drag strip this is, huh? So we would get our GTOs and our Camaros and soup them up. And what we used to do is we used to put a kid on each corner with a flashlight. Each corner had a kid on a flashlight, and that light down there was timed just like at NASCAR, where the drag races are. And when the lights went off, we would click the flashlights to make sure there was no cars coming at the intersections. And we would rip down. They used to race for pink slips. The kids used to spend all summer building the car and risk losing it in a bet. I don't think anybody ever paid off that bet. But that's Central High right there, man. And I remember in that school, one female teacher, you know how all these teachers are making love to their students and getting busted? I was fortunate enough to have one of those experiences, but I never complained about it because my teacher was hot. Let me tell you this, I passed English. Man, it's strange being back here. This building is actually part of this school, Central High School. They didn't have enough room for classes. So what they built this for was welding class, which I took. And most of the kids that took welding didn't even want to be there. You know, it was a class that you took just so you could pass high school, you know. So he knew that he didn't want any kids in the class that were not interested in actually being welders to disrupt the class. So he would instead of letting you sit in the class and disrupt the class, he would pass you to not show up. But he liked me to show up because I used to make him laugh every day. And there was a kid named Ambrose that worked there. That was in the class with me, and he hated Ambrose because Ambrose used to bust his balls all the time. So he would have me come in class to hang Ambrose. Hanging means ranking on. Ranking on means the dozens. Put people down. I don't know what the modern vernacular is today. You know, I don't have my slang 101 book with me. But, you know, we used to rank on each other, and he loved me for it. And one day, Ambrose said something about my mom's, and I took a welding hammer and I cracked him in the head with it. And he picked me up and then he threw me over a couple of desks. I went flying like I was driftwood. And in any case, that bar that I took you to before, Nine Brothers, Mr. Salters used to drink there. And we were like, 16, 17, back in the Wild West days of Bridgeport. We used to go drink with the teacher at the bar, meet him there and have beers with him and get drunk. It was wild. I mean, today, man, that guy would be like on all these news programs. He'd be in jail for corrupting a minor. I mean, things have changed. This political correctness sucks. That's all I got to say about that. But I hope you're enjoying this little tour with me, because I'm enjoying it. Man, this stuff is flooding my mind. And I was dating this girl named Elaine. She went to Notre Dame High School. That was a Catholic high school for girls. And she was my first real girlfriend. And I stole her, if you want to call it that, from my friend Jimmy, who was dating her. And we started hooking up. And I felt real bad. And I said, we got to break the news to Jimmy. So we waited until we got Jimmy really, really drunk to the point where he was vomiting and on the couch sick. And that's when we broke the news to him, because I figured, well, he can't kick my ass if he's throwing up, you know what I mean? And I was working at that pharmacy at the time. I'll never forget her. She wound up cheating on me too, and I caught her in bed with another guy. That was a lovely experience. Galaxy Diner, Bridgeport, Connecticut. This was the spot, man. After work, before work, you know, get your grub on. Especially on weekends when you used to come out of, you know, nightclubs, disco days. Disco boy. And we used to come here, you know, for munchies, for late night meals and stuff. And this used to be a little chrome diner. It's now built up to this big palace of a diner, you know. There's more, I tell you what, there's more home improvement in here than there is most homes. Most condominiums don't have new stuff like this diner. I like the old school chrome diners. You don't see them too much anymore. You know, like the movie diner, that you would see those old chrome diners. They're starting to disappear from the landscape, man. But one thing I'll say about this diner, the kitchen's the same, because everything new on the outside is just, you know, for looks. But you know what? It's the same old grease that cooked my eggs 40 years ago, and when I was coming here with my parents when I was a toddler. So, you know, and it's a traditional Greek diner, and they got, you know, that is an origami elephant with the trunk up for good luck. You know, definitely makes a dollar bill not look like a booger. You know what I mean? Waitresses love that stuff. Yeah, same guys, same owners, same family. You know, tradition, you know. And man, you get some killer eggs here. Bacon slamming. Toast, the rye bread is really good. Some people have rye bread toast, man. You can cut your lips on it. It's so sharp and hard, you know. This has a nice consistency to it, you know. And a damn good cup of Joe, man. I'll tell you right now. Man, I'll tell you what, this is not instant coffee. This is good coffee right here.
Chicken, pasta. So what we got there? Oh yes.
All separate. Check. Be good.
I hope she gets off.
For that trial? Yeah. Why, you don't think she did it?
I think she did something, but I think the prosecution had a terrible case. No evidence.
Casey Anthony trial. The trial of the year
Well,
2011.
the doctor was killed, they can't prove nothing.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Wasn't she like on her computer records searching death, suffocation,
Well, the
chloroform?
mother came out and the mother said she was so.
Her mother said she.
Everybody's discredited.
Her mother was saying
The
that.
mother came on the stand and said she.
Oh my God,
Yeah, crazy.
that's insane, dude. Meantime, the little girl's dead. It's a big media circus. You know, we're going back to the Roman Colosseum pretty soon. Pay-per-view. Take death row inmates like rollerball. Remember the movie Rollerball? Or like the gladiators and watch them fight to the death. That'll be entertainment. It's already here. You got the Ultimate Fighter. It's just getting close. Cage matches, wrestling, simulated extreme violence. People love blood. This is one of the beauty spots of Bridgeport. Bridgeport is pretty much, well, it was after World War II, was an industrial city. Lots of factory jobs and all that, especially during World War II. Remington Arms, Colt 45, Sikorsky Aircraft, you know. It was a military industrial complex city. Now it's an unemployment city. It's pretty sad. All the jobs have been farmed out to different countries or went down south for cheaper labor. But this is St. Margaret's Shrine. It's run by the Roman Catholic Archdiocese. And we used to come in here with dates and stuff, drink beer up in the woods with all this religious statuary.
Sanctuary. This is sanctuary.
Yep, the comedy business is changing too, man. With this economic downturn that's going on, there are club owners out there that are trying to monopolize on the market. In other words, they don't want comics working other places, only their places, and they do it with threats of taking work away from you. So if you work for Joe Blow's comedy club, a half an hour away from their club, they will penalize you by not allowing you to work at their club. But what the comedy club owners don't understand is that comics don't survive just on one club. If you only have 2 weekends a year to work at their clubs, or even 3, that doesn't pay your rent. And if anybody that has any good business sense knows, McDonald's opens up next door to Burger King. Burger King opens up next door to Wendy's. And next to all 3 of them is Dunkin' Donuts. So dig. If I like McDonald's French fries, I swing over through the drive-thru to McDonald's, get my fries, but I like the burger over at Wendy's, I get my burger there, and neither one of those 2 has good coffee, so I go to Dunkin' Donuts. All 3 businesses get patronized by one customer. And that holds for anything, man. You know, they you can't dictate and govern the nightclub business. But then again, very few club owners are exceptions to this rule. But in a general rule, club owners suck, most of them, and they're greedy, man. And you know what, man? You know what happens to greedy people, man? They choke on their own money. It's sad. It really is, because it's happening with musicians too. You know, you get boycotted because you played another room. You got bills, they got bills, I got bills, we all got bills, man. So, you know, I mean, when things were going good, when the economy was good, I used to work 5 nights a week, man, including weekends. The only day off I ever had was Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and even Tuesday night I had private parties. And now, with the way it is, I'm lucky if I get a full weekend, or I get split weekends. So, got a frog in my throat, either that or a toad. Split weekends, which is like I work one place Friday, one place Saturday. And the comedy clubs are hurting, man. Because, you know, you're talking about a $17 cover, a 2-drink minimum, for a couple to go out and see stand-up comedy. When they're thinking, hell, man, I'll go to the liquor store, get a 6-pack of beer, a bottle of wine for my wife, go home and watch Comedy Central. But the problem with Comedy Central is shows on cable, even the uncensored ones, the dirtier ones on cable, you don't get the immediacy of a live performance. You get a pre-recorded product. It's not the same as seeing Joe Blow, the comedian on cable, go see him live, because the material's always changing. He might have a new twist. He might have 3 more new lines on that bit that you saw him do. He may be done with that bit. He may be on to 3 new bits. You know, it's weird, man. It's weird. You know, same thing happened with Jimi Hendrix when I saw him here in Bridgeport. When he came to John F. Kennedy Stadium near my high school, I was 12 years old. I hopped the fence, and they were screaming at Hendrix, man. They were calling him the N-word. They were, you know, you bastard, play Purple Haze. You suck, man. You suck. Play Crosstown Traffic. Do you know why? Because Hendrix was experimenting with fusion jazz. That's the stuff that Chick Corea, Jeff Beck, and all those other cats got famous on. John McLaughlin, Mahavishnu Orchestra. Hendrix was doing that, and he was breaking that stuff in Bridgeport, and they were booing him because they wanted the packaged Hendrix. They wanted, you know, that's the problem with art and artists. I mean, it was so degrading for me to witness that happen to Jimi Hendrix. I mean, and if it happens to Jimi Hendrix, it could happen to anybody. Same thing with comedy.
When I started doing some new stuff and I was doing some slightly political stuff, club owners were telling other club owners, yeah, Johnny Rizzo lost it, man. He's not funny no more. He's not doing his act. He's doing some political stuff, man. But yet, Belzer, Will Durst, all these other comics that do political stuff, Jon Stewart, they got TV shows. You know, so, you know, it's a very fickle, strange business. Comedy is a really tough business because once you get established with a certain kind of act, that's your product. And once you've sold that product for many years, any derivation, any changes, anything different from that product, they think you're not funny no more. Even though the people are pissing themselves laughing, for some reason the club owners want to hear the bits. They want to hear the product. Where's my product? That's not what I paid for. No, dude, what you paid for was a funny comedian. But, you know, so you have to slip the new stuff in a little bit at a time, a teaspoon at a time. You can't take a ladle and be dropping buckets of new stuff in. You got to do it sparingly. That's the marketplace today, man. It sucks. You know, creatively it sucks, and you know, the whole business model is changing, man. You know, newspapers used to be the way to advertise shows. Radio used to be the way to advertise shows. Now you got Facebook, you got Bebo, you got Twitter, you got Twatter, you got Sit on My Facebook. You got all these different social networks where it's free to advertise. It's kind of like the free press. And a lot of club owners will spend a lot of money on newspapers and radio and neglect the web because they're dinosaurs and they don't know how to get with it. You know, I make my own promotional videos, little animated videos with Go Animate and Extra Normal, and little sites like that where you could create your own advertisements that are visual. You know, it's like radio, the internet is melding radio and TV together. Because everybody that does a radio show now has a podcast of their show where people could download the shows that they missed. So the internet's put a big dent in everything, man. And if you don't change with, you know, well, let me just put it this way. If you don't roll with the changes, you're going to get left behind, you know. And with these greedy club owners telling you you can't work here if you work for the guy down the street, I don't see how that's good for anybody, because let's say got a bumpy road here, a little bumpy road coming up. Just so you got a heads up there in case you see the camera moving, that's a bumpy road, because Bridgeport, that's how we repair roads. Check this out. How's that? Good? That's good. That's where my tax money went to. And if you, I'm going to pull over to finish this statement. I'm going to pull over because we're getting close to another location, but I just want to pull over for a second, finish up this thought. Here's what I don't understand. How is it in the interest of a club owner to tell you you can't work at this club? You can't work the Chuckle Hut, but you can only work at the Giggle Shack. Well, let's put it this way. If you saw Joe Blow at the Chuckle Hut and he was hilarious and you are an instant fan and he told you, hey, thanks for coming to the Chuckle Hut to see me, I'm going to be at the Giggle Shack in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. Won't you come see my show again over there and bring your friends? So you see, everybody benefits. Both clubs benefit, but they don't see that way. You know what they see?
This is Seaside Park in the Park City of Bridgeport, Connecticut, my hometown. P.T. Barnum is sitting right behind me in this big statue. This is the father of the circus. This is the guy who made the circus the giant entertainment conglomerate that it is today. This is the man who discovered Tom Thumb the Midget. This is the man who discovered Chen and Eng, the Siamese twins. This is the man who discovered Jumbo the elephant. Before there was TV, before there was silent movies, before there was radio, there was the circus. This is the man whose circus headquarters was in this very city, Bridgeport. This entire park was his front yard. He owned all this land. And when he passed away, he left this entire park to the city of Bridgeport for people to enjoy. Actually, he was a mayor of this city for 2 terms, and he was a great inspiration to me. And every year during the Barnum Festival, during the 4th of July weekend, they used to have the Midway right here in Seaside Park. The Midway was a giant carnival. But back when I was a kid, before this PC stuff started, they used to have real human freak shows, human oddities. Guys with 3 legs, women with 2 heads, tattoo ladies, you know. They had Melvin Burkhart hammering nails into his nose, Siamese twins, dwarfs, midgets, all kinds of unusual people. The fat lady and the alligator skin man, Zambora, the gorilla girl. It was awesome. You know, and these people used to exhibit themselves willingly, freely, and they made more money doing that for themselves and their family than being shunned away in some trailer park down in Florida hiding from the public. You see, you couldn't be a freak and be in Barnum Circus just because you were an oddity. You had to have a talent. You had to sing, you had to dance, you had to juggle, you had to have something to go with it. You couldn't just be another midget or a tall guy, you know. Oh, I'm sorry, little people. Anyway, but this was really a great spot for picnics, and my relatives would come from Poughkeepsie, New York, all the way down to Bridgeport, and all they wanted to do, let's go to Seaside Park. And we go to Seaside Park, let's go to the beach. And right across the sound, over there, that's Long Island. Approximately 10 miles away by boat. So this is basically an inlet. That's not exactly the ocean, but this leads out into the ocean. And I can't tell you how many times we partied down here. At the very end of the park, way down there, there's a place called The Point, because it comes to a point. It's a parking area, and we used to go down there when we were kids and party. We used to party like it was 1999, and man, all we needed was a 6-pack, and it was Makeout Central, man. It was like the place. And the city, for some ridiculous reason, had the dump at the end of the point. And we used to get, you know, stoned out of our minds, and we used to get BB guns and pellet guns, and we used to shoot the rats at the dump. We used to get all wasted and shoot rats. Crazy. We used to do some crazy stuff here, man. And everybody used to cruise Seaside. Now there's a curfew, it closes at 6. You know, a park should be open all the time. There should be no curfews on a park. Yeah, loud noise and partying, keep it down. But man, there's nothing like a park at nighttime. But see, they did away with that because when the drug culture came in the 60s and the 70s, things got a little out of control. Well, actually, they got very out of control. But, you know, that's the way it is. Everything's changing, man. Everything's changing. I'm not quite sure if it's for the better, but I remember some really good things happening here, man. Every year they have a big gathering of concerts here and stuff. They try to revitalize it, you know. It's still the place to go for picnics and stuff. And it's a great treasure, man, which Barnum left for us. PT did this for us. You know, he could have just let the state take it. He could have let it just be all developed, and just imagine that this was your front yard, man. That shows you how much coin this guy knew how to make paper. This is a Bridgeport landmark, the Merrick Canteen. Some of the best hot dogs, chili dogs in the world. These chili dogs are mean, man. I mean, they have a picture of a guy blowing fire out of his mouth to show you how hot they are. The best. This is a classic place. Old school. Check this out, Beardsley Park Zoo in Bridgeport. It's a great zoo. Back in the day, it used to be like San Quentin for animals. I mean, it was like just bars and cages. Now it's very habitat friendly. Back in the day, I used to take care of 2 elephants. They don't have elephants anymore, but they had 2 elephants. One was named Shakuntella, and the other elephant was named Champagne, baby Champagne, a baby and an adult. Not only that, I used to clean out the monkey cages. I used to rake up the crap in the yard from the peacocks and the deer and the buffalo. And I used to feed rats to snakes, boa constrictors. And I remember one day, elephants are
are extremely intelligent, and I bet you never knew this, but an elephant, a full-grown elephant, can sneak up on you. They are the most quiet animals in the world. You never know an elephant's behind you until he's trampling you. I was sitting on a wall, and I was talking to some mommies, you know, and one leg was in the pit, one leg was on this